this thing on?
You are live.
Hello and welcome to Biologists Underwater. I am Kurt Crispin from Paramount Importance, and here with me today I have Associate Professor Mike Van Coolen. We are going to be taking you on a journey underwater, and just as we're down here, we've got huge diversity of so much marine life going on. We've got algae, we've got fish, we've got so much stuff going on, and we're going to tell you all about it, so get ready for an awesome journey, and let's have some fun. So Mike, what's some of the first stuff that we're seeing in the algae realm right here? We've got a few different things with different colours. We've got loads of different algae growing here. Southwestern Australia is one of the biodiversity hotspots for marine algae. So we've got huge numbers of different species. The dominant one is the kelp, which is Eclonia radiata, which is that one there. You can see it makes up the bulk of the structure of the reef ecosystem. How does this Eclonia differ to like seagrass? Is it like, what's it sticking on? How does it stay on seagrass? Yeah, so seagrasses are actually flowering plants. They produce flowers. Marine algae are a lot simpler. They don't produce flowers. They don't have a lot of the more complicated structures that you find in seagrasses and the same as for terrestrial plants. Right, okay. And I've heard these things here being called dead man's fingers. What is this? Yeah, common name is dead man's fingers. This is a species of codium. It's one of the marine algae that you find commonly all over our coastline. Roger that. Well, one of the reasons why we're underwater right now and live streaming to you guys is that we've got something huge coming up in 6 weeks' time on the 27th of February. We are doing the world's first live underwater podcast with myself and Mike Van Coolen, and we're going to be doing it for World Seagrass Day. We're going to be on a seagrass meadow out at Rottnest Island, and today is our trial run day to make sure we can do all this crazy stuff. Stuff like this underwater live streaming has never really come before. And this is just absolutely remarkable that we're able to do any of this kind of stuff. It's a whole trial run. It's our first time using these alga masks. And so it's good. You lose breath. It works relatively well, actually. It's a lot less breathtaking than I expected. Well, as we're down here, I guess we could also talk about some of the things that's going on. So we do have a school of fish around here, so these little red and pink fish here are called your western pea grasses. Now these ones are juveniles, and when they're in their juvenile phase, they can sometimes act as cleaner fish. So we technically don't have that many cleaner fish down in our temperate regions, where these guys fill that niche, and you can sometimes see them swimming with other fish and cleaning them. With cleaner fish, they actually signal to each other. So when they have their little station of where they're cleaning, they'll both sit up, signalling right now, and that's them signposting saying, hey, we're open for business. And then another fish will come in, if they're wanting to be clean, they will do the same. They'll sit up like that, tail down, or sometimes with their nose down like that. I reckon, let's go have a look at some of this cave over here, and hopefully we'll find some other cool marine things to look at. you called your buff shrimp. They are similarly really related to also your silver drummer, and we have other 6 species of drummers that live in this coastline down here. We have over 500 species of fish that live in the Perth region, from your near shore and your coastal areas out to the trench. They call these red alligators. So yeah, they're very diverse, lots of different types here. And you can see all different shapes and sizes.
We have our first question from our live streamers, if you guys are ready.
They're really a critical part of the ecosystem. But what's really interesting is that there is extra chemicals primarily to stop them from being grazed on. Is there any fish that feed on the algae down here? Yeah, for sure. Loads of fish feed on the algae, and they really make up the basis of the food chain. Should we keep moving that way? Hopefully we see some other cool things around.
We have a question for you from our audience.
What is the question that we've got?
So, the question is for Mike, and it is, what is his favorite seagrass and why?
Wow, that's a big question. There are so many different seagrasses I like. Hard to pick a favorite. I think probably Amphibolus Antarctica, because it's just so quirky and different from everything else. So, here looks a little bit like leopard, and it's green. What do we look like? Gosh, you've got a good way of identifying. This is actually sea leopards. It's a species of alga, which is what we commonly refer to as sea leopard. Did I eat them? You can eat all of these. Some of these you can only eat once. And what, so this stuff gets big algae as well, or is it something else? Yes, this is a red alga, and this is something called Scuba. It's one of the used to make jewelry by the early settlers in the Perth. It's one planet. This here looks a little bit different to the Claudia. This is a brown algae, and what is the role of the Claudia algae? So you're very similar to the Claudia. It's obviously a different species of brown algae. There are basically three different groups of algae. There's the brown algae, which are the big ones. There's the red algae, which are probably the most diverse ones. And then there are the green algae. So there are those three different groups that we can identify. Right. Now, I've just saw here that you can actually have a look at the whole of your Claudia radiata. You can see how the town's going to catch it. Your rocky substrate. Yeah, so these are specialists that are looking to try to get really rocky areas. So also you see that these are by using really strong cold bars. Occasionally you find them on the beach as they're still. And after you'll find the actual name has given the impact of really the temperature rather than the initial starting. Right. I think let's have a swim this way. We'll get back into the reef and see what we can find.
While you're swimming, we have another question, and it's about the substrate that you guys are over at the moment.
So the substrate we're on it looks like limestone that's covered in a lot of different species there's some caves that are coming up through there, and then there's a bit of sand around as well. So all of this limestone is actually part of an old coastline that formed in the previous ice age. So these reefs are actually formed on the coastline. But we have to all the way up to the speak here. What are these ones? And we've got a nice bright coloured sponge here. Is there anything that, what makes up a sponge? We have plenty of them in the estuary, and we've heard that they can also, as you mentioned, filter the water to keep it clean. So they're doing that now.
We have another question from the audience, and it's what type of creatures do we have that eat seagrass? What type of animals eat seagrass?
There are only really a few different types of animals that eat a lot of seagrass. The main one is the judo. The Americas, there's a lot of people just say it's the judo. We also have green sea turtles that also eat seagrass, and in some cases it's something that they but mostly seagrass sadly not much of it.
Yeah, so as Mike's cutting out a little bit.
Just over there, we have the Scuba. Those are our oldest fish that we have in our photograph. Pete Coulson has aged 150 and he reckons that it's 50 of them over 100 years of age. The oldest fish in Perth.
So I think Kurt's seen a sweep, and Pete Coulson, when he was at Murdoch, aged them at over 100 years old. So yeah, real granddad fish. Oh. Can you guys check your air, please? We've got some more questions. One is, can you see any effects of the marine heat wave, and how does temperature affect the ecosystem?
to get them to start to make a red mark because I think they've gotten too far from the compass.
Oh. Just stay talking. Topside to divers, can you head back, please? Mike's talking now. Okay, come in. Okay, come in.
Hey Kurt, we're starting to lose comms. We need you to come back both sides. What I think we'll do is switch to picture one, and then we can start talking.
Sure.
Take that.
So, do you want me to do?
Hit cam one, and you come up here, and then you can start talking straight away.
Can I do the?
That's true. Hit cam one. Hit cam one. Okay, so.
Why don't we have my speaker going in between the sound tracks and the police?
Alright, so it seems that Kurt and Mike have got incredibly excited and swum around about the limit of comms range. So I will take over and do a little bit of commentary while we wait for that. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. James Tweedley. I'm a marine biologist at Murdoch. And yeah, I've been working with Kurt and Mike for a while, and I'm also manning the questions topside. So we have a couple more questions from our audience.
of memory.
Kurt, can you come back to the boat? The comms will be better. Thanks. Alright, so we have a question from Steph who wants to know about nudibranchs. So nudibranchs are one of the prettiest.
Just like anything when you're in the water environment, I think we had a better trainer than we had
Keep heading back to the boat, Kurt. Alright, well, in the meantime, we were talking about nudies. So the nudibranchs are one of the prettiest animals on the reef. So they are a mollusk that has lost its shell.
let you get in there as well, Cassian. I think there's only enough room for two. It looks like there's some sand coral kind of looking things. What's those big things sticking out under the reef structure out there on that cave? Very interesting. Actually, there's something cool about that woodland as well. You have squid, the big squid, they actually spawn their eggs on empty wood. They don't spawn it on the possibility situation, which is the big seagrass meadows. So we'll go and hunt on the seagrass meadows, but where they lay their eggs, you've got this stuff here. That is very interesting. All I've got is like,
Can you repeat the question? We're struggling to hear you because you're too far away. Are you swimming further away from the boat? Because we can't hear you. think Kurt spotted some goatfish, and those have little barbels under their chins that help them find benthic prey buried in the sediment. I guess it's kind of like a metal detector stuck to their face. Pretty cool adaptation. All those ripples of sand are made by waves. And I guess we tend to think of the ocean as having lots of habitat, but the vast majority of the ocean is just sand and mud. So I think these guys are now on a swim to try and find some more habitat. So you can see the big difference earlier on between where there was that limestone reef. You had a whole bunch of macroalgae and sea squirts that had colonized that, and now they're in a bit of a sand patch, probably approaching some reef. I found a seagrass bed. So the reason why Kurt was excited then is he's talking about the world's first underwater podcast that will be coming up to celebrate World Seagrass Day later on in Feb. And that's why they were trying to find some seagrass. What you can definitely see here is some algae over scattered stones. So seagrass is quite unique because it has this underground structure called a rhizome. So think of it like the roots of a plant, which makes sense because seagrass is a plant. Macroalgae isn't a plant, and so they tend to grow by sticking onto hard substrates. Yeah.
You guys heading back towards the boat?
So, as Kurt just said, they're approaching some reef, and suddenly you can see a whole lot more macroalgae because it's attached to that hard substrate. So the big leathery stuff you can see is a type of kelp, which is Ecolonia radiata, so it's like a brown algae. It's this kelp here that kind of forms the basis of what we call the Great Southern Reef.
That's it. Keep coming to the boat, mate.
Trust Kurt to spot the tasty fish that swam in front of him. I think kelp is really underrated. Like, it forms lots of the habitat in deeper and colder waters. The most famous of which is the giant kelp, and that grows so quickly you can actually see it growing. It gets up to over 30 meters tall and dies back each year, so it grows 30 meters in height each year.
I think this is one of those things that's going to be It's still resonating. I always thought the blowhole version was a funny name for a pit. I do like the look of it though. Wonderful kid. So those would have been born during winter time. So they're very young. They're only a few months old, those fish. Alright, I think it's time to head back up to the boat. I want to say thank you very much for tuning in. If the weather is good, we will do a second dive, but we'll find out when we get to the surface. It's hard to tell when you're below, like it looks alright, but we'll find out when we get up there. So this day was a trial day where we can be on the
There we go, so you should be able to see the guys coming up in the boat now.
Alright, so our divers are pretty much back on the boat.
Here's Mike.
And the radio mics that they're wearing only work when they are underwater. So right now they're trying to talk to us. The gear doesn't actually work. Yeah, that was one of the first live streams of Scuba. So that's a man-made line on the back of the boat. It's a bit swelly out here today. And the divers will go along that and make their way back onto the boat. And you'll be able to hear their experiences when they come on board shortly. So we actually had 4 divers in the water. So there was Kurt and Mike who were on comms talking you through everything. There was Kessia, she was holding the camera, and then there is Ariana, who is our safety diver as well. So there is Mike back on deck.
Get up on here.
Alright, I'll head out and leave.
I forgot to undo the strap. Thank you. Oh, that was great. A bit more surgery than I expected.
This is the full face masks that they were using. So if you saw Mike holding his face, he was pushing this button, which gave us the comms to talk to you guys online. That was the underwater camera that Cass was using to film, and then that little white yellow cable is what was giving you the picture beamed via satellite technology to wherever you are in the world. In Australia, we had some people in China. Thank you for tuning in and checking out what's at the bottom of Mindarie. How was it, Cass?
It was good. A bit of surge, but yeah, it's good
Alright, what else have we got on here? Whole bunch of scuba cylinders to get set up for dive 2. So it was a fish, but everyone can see that's a bit of floating sargassum out the back, which I actually thought was Kurt because his wetsuit is pretty much the same colour. Very, very camouflaged.
So Mike, we lost you for a little while under the water because you were a bit too far from the boat for us to hear you.
Right.
Give us a little bit of a recap on stream here, what you saw, what was exciting, especially when you were furthest away.
Right, okay, so obviously we started off over the rocky reef, which is a limestone reef, that way. We then ended up over some sand as well, so looking at the diversity of species on the reef and then over this bare sand, which is obviously not quite as exciting as the reef structure. The reefs, we had huge amounts of algal diversity, but also a lot of invertebrate diversity. So if you look underneath where the algae don't have enough light to photosynthesize, we have huge amounts of invertebrates that are there, and there's a huge range of different things, anything from sponges to soft corals, hard corals, bryozoans, all sorts of different things. Ascidians, of course, sea squirts, so a huge amount of diversity on those reef areas. This is part of the Great Southern Reef, which is, I guess, the temperate equivalent to the Great Barrier Reef. Huge amounts of diversity, as you would have seen, loads of fish, lots of different species of all sorts of different things. Really a very cool place to dive if you can.
Wrasse, sweet, drummer, goatfish. Did you see anything else?
We saw some goatfish. I can't remember all the fish. I'm a plant person, so
Yeah. I saw some ascidians, some sea squirts.
Loads of different sea squirts. So we had the sea tulips, which we saw at the very beginning. So they were on a stalk, and there's a little sort of polyp at the end, which is actually the animal, and it filter feeds food. So it takes food out of the water that it passes through its body and catches that and it eats it. But they also occur in colonial form. So we also saw some colonial sea squirts, and they basically look a bit like sponges, but each dot is actually an individual animal, and so it's just a big colony, like a big coral colony, loads of individual little animals all living together in a single structure.
Oh, you did. They're actually the closest invertebrate to a vertebrate, if that makes any sense. So yeah, they're one of the most advanced invertebrates. Yeah, they're basically a pump that pumps in water and then pumps out water, and they filter all the food.
Beauty, how was your experience?
It's actually like quite hard to keep breath while speaking. I kept speaking and then just like running out of breath, and I was like but it was quite fun. There's a lot of surge underwater pushing us back and forth, so like when you got the surge, running out of breath while you're speaking, just found out Cass lost comms, and we were talking like, oh, what's this fish? And then I can understand that now that we missed some of it. But yeah, it's a fantastic experience to be able to speak to Mike underwater and be able to talk about things. I think that was like never experienced anything like that. As I mentioned at the very start, when we were chatting on the boat, that when I was 5 years old, I was swimming out with one of my dad's friends, and he couldn't believe that I just kept speaking underwater, and now I've been able to do that. We can speak underwater and talk through things, which is just a very unique experience to be able to do that and to bring it out there and have now like an educational purpose and speak through that's quite important and interesting, and to learn and understand things firsthand, like right there, what we're seeing, you're seeing. I think that's really cool. Like we saw quite a lot of diversity down there. It's not one of the best reefs that we've dived on in Perth, and I think with the surge it created a bit of less visibility than probably what we were expecting. Probably only had about 10 metres, 15 metres visibility, something around that. And the fish were quite skittish as well. I think with the amount of surge going on there and all 5 of us on the water moving around, we probably looked a bit daunting. So they didn't really want to play ball and come up and look at us, especially if we're moving around, because this kind of would agitate them. Because we're moving quite fast, they will just think that we're maybe attacking them, and so they shot off. So it was a bit of a different experience down there, but we still saw lots of different fish species and lots of different algae and ascidians, and I think you were just mentioning that onto camera, all the different things that we saw down there. So we're pretty lucky to have this kind of diversity straight off our backyard. We're no more than maybe 3-4 k's out from the coastline. As we jumped in, we saw a lot of recreationally targeted fish as well. We saw some big break sea that we didn't get on when we dove down there. They swam away, but there was big King George down there as well. So
got a few comments on the stream. A couple of people, interesting to see the ebbs and flows. Very cool from Alicia. A few virtual hugs from someone. Mason Jones, great stuff everyone, absolutely love this. Lily, I think her name is. The camera person's doing an amazing job. Well done, Kaz.
Yes, Kaz.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lily.
And someone else, Finn, Alexander. Hey gang, this is awesome. Just wondering, when you're on the surface, whether you ever pretend you're a big boat bobbing around in the ocean.
Or like a big whale.
I answered this one. So, yes, Finn. I can guarantee that we have pretended that, and I think you were there as well when we've done that down at the beach at Belvedere, so I know what you're talking about. I know we've mentioned this a few times, but if you're still streaming on now, that this is a trial run for the world's first live underwater podcast, which we're going to be doing on the 27th of February at 10 a.m. We've already organised so many different schools that are going to come in and join in. As mentioned in the title, it's a world's first thing where Jason here has organised some cutting edge technology. As you've seen, that we've been able to stream completely live underwater. We're all able to talk to each other. We've got the 4K camera, it's got optimal quality. Something like this, it's just never been done. Anything near this hasn't been done before in the world. So it's very exciting what we're trying to achieve down here. As you can see, it's a huge effort. There's a huge team of us to make something like this happen and possible. So we're very, very excited about that. And today was just all about learning how to use these things down here. Down here, that was absolutely amazing to be able to speak to people on the water, but also very hard to be able to speak for a lengthy period of time. So Mike, it's easy for me to ask a question, and poor Mike is going to have to give an answer and keep his breath at the same time. And I'm sure you have seen the technology and everything that's inside the cabin down there. It's phenomenal. There's so much stuff going on. So Jason here is the man with big brain and figuring all this stuff out. It's remarkable. I was speaking to a friend yesterday who has, Daniel, who's the producer for the podcast, the Paramount Importance podcast. He used to work many years ago in a live streaming team, and he was telling me there was a huge amount of people that organised that part of all the equipment. It's just Jason, just one man and himself that has organised that, which is phenomenal to do these things like that. So, how are we looking for the weather-wise, Rob? Are we going to be able to get another?
I don't think we'll have another dive in today, but I think we've done everything we've needed to for the test.
Okay.
Sorry, James. All good.
Okay. Yeah. So today was a test. With a test, there's always a few. Tune in for the 27th of February at 10 a.m. We're going to be at Rottnest Island. It's going to be World Seagrass Day, and we're going to be jumping in on a big seagrass meadow. Hopefully see a few different species, and we've got world-leading expert here, chair of the IUCN of the Seagrass Specialist Group, Associate Professor Mike Van Keulen. We've got Dr. James Tweedley here, who's going to be also running the comms. Both of these two have got an absolute wealth of knowledge, and we're going to be able to ask them plenty of questions, and I can guarantee they'll be able to answer hopefully all of them. It's going to be a huge learning experience, and it's going to be so much fun, so please come join us for that event. Kessia is going to be on camera again. Kessia is also a marine biologist. We've got Ariana, who's also a marine biologist. as well, doing a fantastic job of the safety diving. So, and yes, we've got Ryan Chatfield down here, who's from Terra Australis. He filmed a documentary of Shipwreck Hunters Australia that's streaming on Disney Plus, and he's turning this also into a big documentary because we're doing the world's first, which is always quite a fun thing. And Commotion Media is your channel as well, so if you ever want a documentarian that does an absolutely superb job, hit him up. But yeah, and then Connecting Eyes to Ocean is Jason Cito. So this is not the first live streaming that he's done underwater before either. So
we've done a bit of it, but this is significantly different, given the fact that we're actually going to be doing it as a podcast setting with the guys sitting down there and bringing it all to you guys. We'll give you as much information as we can down there. You'll get the opportunity to ask questions through the stream that James will relay to the guys at the end of the stream before they all come up to the boat again. It should be really good fun, it should be really informative, and I believe we're going to have a lot of people tuning in to check that one out. So please, if you've got the chance, share it, and we'll hopefully see you there on 2 days before World Seagrass Day, right?
yes.
27th.
World Seagrass Day does fall on a Sunday, which we thought schools don't go to school on a Sunday, so we turned it onto the Friday so we can have lots of schools streaming in, and I think we'll get the best engagement on that. So it's 2 days before World Seagrass Day, 27th of February at 10 AM. We'll see you guys there, and is that a cut? In a little bit we'll cut.